How's it going, everybody? Trash here. I'm here with Dan Parker from Yu-Gi-Oh! Org and Yugipedia. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. So you got this really spicy deck that you're playing. In fact, we're going to end up doing two different things today. We're going to be looking at a couple different Rolad builds. So for those of you that are not familiar, Rolad is Ritual Light and Darkness.
Yeah, it's actually called Light and Darkness Ritual, it turns out, but Ritual of Light and Darkness is what I called it a few months ago, back when I first translated the card. I think it's better, and I think Rolad rolls off the tongue a little easier.
I think everyone agree with that. It's got a little ring to it. But with that, though, if you want to get started whenever you want to, we can start looking at this awesome deck profile we got.
I did want to just date it and say that this morning is when we see the Black Skull Dragon of Chaos and new sword for the Rolad cards. Those were revealed today as of recording.
Now, I haven't got to check those out yet. Can you explain them really quickly?
It's an Omni Negate and a quick effect summon that's got more than 7 stars is the TLDR.
Good card.
Incredibly good card. The Black Skull Dragon is disgustingly good for the deck.
Fantastic.
So the deck's primary focus is based on these two cards. Probably should join the circle. Black Luster Soldier, the Soldier of Light and Darkness, and the Magician of Black Chaos, or Dark Chaos, depending on how they want to go about it. These are 2 level 8 ritual monsters, a Dark and an Earth, a Spellcaster and a Warrior, based on 2 of Yugi's most iconic cards ever, the Magician of Black Chaos and the Black Luster Soldier. The cards that he used to defeat My Valentine and Pegasus in Duelist Kingdom. Both of these are secret rares from Chaos Origins. Face of the new set, they come in overframes. I didn't buy them too much money for a card that I want to put in a deck rather than a binder. The idea behind the deck is that there's a single ritual spell called the Light and Darkness Ritual that can summon either of these cards. And then the Mind Shuffle, the technique that was used to defeat Pegasus, allows you to switch between them, one for the other. We'll get to them when I go through the profile and talk about them more. This card, once per turn, targets an opponent's card and banishes it face down. This guy on summon can banish their card, and it's not mandatory to do it. So when I get into how the nitty-gritty of the deck works, I can explain how to use him a little more properly. This card on summon also adds any spell from your graveyard to your hand once per turn. Incredibly potent cards. They also can't be destroyed by battle and unaffected by effects that don't target them.
The unaffected is amazing.
Yes.
Now, the one thing I want to talk about is that there's a difference between the 2 banishes, isn't there?
Yes, face and face up.
So that's definitely one of the big things to pay attention to.
Yes. There's also the Chaotic Magical Swordsman. It's almost a fusion of the 2 of them. Black Chaos, another level 8 monster. So it's another monster that's level 7 or higher, which will come up later. This card discards itself from your hand to activate Mind Shuffle from the deck. And while it's on the field, soft once per turn, non-targeting banish 2 cards.
That's ridiculous.
So if you can summon this card a second time in the same turn, which is extremely easy to do, you can then banish 4 cards, and then 6 cards, and then 8 cards, until they don't have any cards left. He also, very similarly to these 2 cards, is unaffected by even the effects that target him while Light and Darkness Ritual is in the graveyard. So this is both a starter and an end board, and an extender off turn, and a board breaker. That's why this card is shiny.
Absolutely insane. So it acts not only as a extender to get into combo, but can actually act as a boss monster as well.
This is the Light and Darkness Ritual. Light and Darkness Ritual is just a ritual spell, but summons either of the 2 cards and very fortunately names them. It's very important what ritual spells do and don't name, and then what cards name the ritual spell. The way this quote-unquote archetype works is that all of these cards name this card, as well as every other monster in the theme. This card also has a graveyard effect that activates Ignition Style to return itself to hand along with a card that mentions it without targeting. And that's part of one of the strongest combos in the deck, which again, I can get to later, 1 card at a time. Don't want to overwhelm people. This is Mind Shuffle. Mind Shuffle is a continuous trap. Once per turn, search for a Rolad card and then discard a card. And infinite times per turn, but once per chain and not in the same chain, you can return a level 7 or higher monster you control to your hand to special summon a monster that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness, including the rituals without ritual summoning, including Black Chaos without using its conditioned summon, which I don't want to say inherent summon. It's
built-in summon.
It's built-in summon effect to shuffle a ritual monster back into the deck to summon itself can also be bypassed with Mind Shuffle. And then he is level 7 or higher, so you can bounce him to summon this to summon him and banish 2 more. And you can bounce this to this and banish 2 more. It's incredibly, incredibly unfair. And we like unfair. That's how you win games.
Now, Mind Shuffle, I know when you're playing 2 copies right there. At the beginning, when this deck first started looked at, people were going back and forth between 1 copy and 2 copy. What's your thought process?
So this one I'm always on 2 of. Some of the other cards, I'm flexible on ratios. In this variant, I am on 2 Rolad. And the other variant we're going to get to, I'm only on 1. In this variant, I'm on 2 Summon Skull. In the other variant, I'm only on 1. In this variant, I am on 3 Celtic Guardian. In the other variant, I am on 0 Celtic Guardian. So we will get to those as we go. But this one, I am always on 2. Because this card is the deck. This card face up is the reason you can play. It's the reason you have follow up. It's the whole deck. So if you don't want to lose your 1, the other deck that actually like plays less bricks, where you would get only 1, actually destroys its 1 as part of its combo and wants to get the other 1. So you end up still playing 2 anyway.
So there's different ways to be able to do it, but 1, 2 is definitely a play.
I actually, in this deck, side the 3rd.
Really?
Yes, and we'll get to why I side the 3rd in when I go first in a moment.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so when we use Mind Shuffle, we add a card and discard a card. We have here Skull Archfiend of Chaos, a card that can be added and a card that can be discarded. Skull Archfiend of Chaos has 2 effects. The first is when it's sent to the graveyard, it dumps for cost to search for one of these. It actually dumps any ritual spell for cost to search for a monster that's named on it, which is crazy.
Wait, so you can dump Mirror?
Yes, and a Habakiri.
Let's go.
Yeah. This also doesn't care how it gets to the graveyard. You can Foolish Burial this. I mean, don't play Foolish Burial because there's just so much access to it anyway. You can dump this off Aerial Eater via the Fiendsmith package. So Engraver searches Habakiri right now. That's just a thing that's true.
It's absolutely ridiculous with that card. You know, when I was looking at the super rares for the Ritual Light and Darkness, as soon as I read the Skull Archfiend, I was thinking that was way too powerful a card. People are not respecting it.
And then we have Griffo, our Chaos Origins sneak peek prize card, or promo. This guy, again, 2 effects. He's got your typical Karibo hand trap effect, but he also has a quick effect to discard himself to the graveyard and set a trap or quick play spell that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness and allow you to activate it that turn. This guy opens turn 0 starts. He is a 1-card starter to just get you to Mind Shuffle and add the Skull Archfiend to start comboing off. 3 of Griffo and 3 Black Chaos are how you get this card face up turn 1.
And that's also the thing I'm thinking about too, needing 2 Mind Shuffles, because another deck can out it or banish it, and you want to be able to get to the second one pretty quickly.
We also play 3 Ragged Records of Rites. This searches for a monster that's named on a ritual spell, or a monster that names a ritual spell rather. So this searches for Griffo. It also searches for every other monster in this deck. This card is just why we don't play pre-prep, essentially. It's just 3 more copies of Griffo. And
now, real quickly on that, if you want to bring that back real quick, the reveal on that, so the reveal can be from deck or hand, so you can never brick on it like pre-prep, right?
Sure. And it doesn't reveal Mirror the way pre-prep does. It actually reveals Mitsurugi Ritual in the Mitsurugi deck because it's revealing the thing that's named on the monster instead of the thing that's...
So players pay attention to that so you don't get a PE minor for revealing the wrong thing.
This card is Graceful Charity. For those of you who are as old as I am, it says draw 3 cards, discard 2 cards. That's just true. And in a standard version of this deck, I would play 1 copy of this card. Mind Shuffle also gets to search for a card and discard a card on the opponent's turn. So when you've gone first and you've set up and you're playing, this is the best thing to add in their opponent's end phase on turn 2, and then bounce your ritual monster to summon this. And then you get the draw 3 of the discard 2, you get locked, and then the lock immediately expires because the turn ends. I'm on 3 of this because the other engine in this deck does not naturally get bridged to by the Rolad half of the deck. So you have to draw into it. Okay. And this is a way to draw cards and thus gets us into the other half of the deck. In this case, we want more starter cards. So there are a million different ways people are playing to get to Griffo, or they're playing Mitsurugi cards and so on. I am doing the Fallen of White Dragon, 1 Albaz, because they share a name. But Fallen of White Dragon can send a monster from my extra deck to the graveyard to summon itself, and then on summon gets Incredible Ecclesia, the Virtuous. Incredible Ecclesia then is a tuner and can synchro summon. So when we want to summon Fallen of the White Dragon, we have to send a monster from our extra deck to the graveyard. So we send, let's say, Albion, and get Incredible Ecclesia. You then synchro summon for a level 8 synchro, and you get the Crimson. The Crimson King has 2 different things it can do here, and it changes very marginal things. But believe it or not, it doesn't actually change the starter math. See, if I want to start on Incredible Ecclesia as my normal summon, I can choose summon the White Dragon and then revive Ecclesia and go into Crimson King. But now I've normal summoned. Crimson King says add a card that mentions RDA. You can add Crimson Call, which says if you control RDA, add a level 4 or lower Fiend monster from your deck to your hand. This just Griffin. 1 card starter, Incredible Ecclesia. But Crimson Call is a brick. You can instead, and what I currently do in the main anyway, is play Soul Resonator. Soul Resonator is a 1-card combo. You can normal summon it and add Griffo. But if you go through the Incredible Ecclesia line into this, you can't normal summon the Soul Resonator. So now that becomes the brick. Instead of Crimson Call, Ecclesia is your brick. Because Ecclesia can't be normal summoned, it's not a starter.
Yeah.
Because this takes your normal summon. So you still have the same number of starters and the same number of bricks. By switching this for this, you gain a brick, but lose a brick. And you gain a starter, but lose a starter. And because of that, I side in, going first, the Crimson Call and the second Incredible Ecclesia. And now I gain 2 starters and 1 brick. And it fixes that dichotomy. Still have this as a brick, though. And
yeah, Albaz still just,
yes.
You never want to see it in hand.
The weakness of the Rolad deck is that you have just this you don't want to draw, and in this case this you don't want to draw, and you don't really want to draw these, and you don't really want to draw these, and you don't really want to draw these, and you don't really want to draw these. You don't really want to draw any of these cards. So it's a bit of a mess. You side deck Pot of Sloth. Goes pretty far for cleaning up hands and stuff, but for the most part you are just trying to use things to push through. And so because of the fact this is a ritual based deck that doesn't use its extra deck, for non-engine cards we are playing 3 Fallen and the Virtuous, pair very well with the branded cards, and 3 Super Poly. Nice. Incredibly good card in the current format, and then 3 copies of Hydraulis Harmonia, because this the Albaz engine and the Red Dragon Archfiend engine, and it's just another incredibly potent non-engine card for 7 cards to just help the deck function the way it needs to. We also play 1 Bestial Magnamut. Magnamut says search for Hydraulis. It also says then shuffle your deck. So when they have stacked the top card in the Cool Tune matchup, this takes it away and then gets you Hydraulis. Hydraulis happens to be level 7. You can return it to your hand with Mind Shuffle to summon a Rolad card. And then you can Hydraulis again because it's back in your hand. Another card that happens to be level 7 or higher is Farah, the Primordial Goddess. I also side in a third of this going first. You want this to reveal Mind Shuffle, and now they can't respond to Mind Shuffle. That is the only reason I don't main 3 of this, is that it's searchable when you use Fallen to White Dragon. Get to that momentarily when I go through the extra deck. But Farah the Primordial Goddess says when it's sent to the graveyard, revive it and steal an opponent's monster. And then it's another level 8 monster to return to my hand for Mind Shuffle. So if you open Griffo in this turn 0, you can discard Griffo for Mind Shuffle, activate Mind Shuffle to add a ritual monster like the BLS, and discard Farah. Farah will revive, steal their monster, and then you can bounce it for the BLS and banish another card.
It's turn 0 Holly Soup.
It is.
Oh my goodness.
And then the Farah is still in your hand for next turn to reveal next to something like Light and Darkness Ritual or Mind Shuffle.
That's ridiculous.
Yes, this card is insanely good and everybody should be playing it in this variant of the deck. Lastly, because I have 3 slots left, I have toyed with Dominus cards, I've toyed with everything, but ultimately what I found was I wanted one more thing for Griffo to do. I wanted on turn 2 for Griffo to, I wanted Mind Shuffle to add a Griffo, and Griffo just gets you this card for the negate. And this card needs different named spells. So I play the 1 crown, 1 droplet so that they have different names just to round out the non-engine in the deck. It is just the weakest part of the deck. These could be Mulcharmies. These could be basically whatever makes you sleep best at night, essentially. In the extra deck, we have our Hydraulis Synchros. So we have Crimson King and Chaos Angel. We have Red Dragon Archfiend. Red Dragon Archfiend can be summoned by Crimson King, and then it can't be destroyed by card effects. It also goes up to 6,000 attack. Blitz Click has no out to that. You won the duel.
Oh my goodness.
It also answers Enneacrafts. Everything in defense mode just gets completely demolished by this card. You had just won the duel. It's just disgusting. Crimson Call banishes from the graveyard, allows us to attack twice for 6,000. You just won the duel. We also have Ecclesia, of course. We play Fallen and the Virtuous. We have Malong. so that when they do something like summoning the level 7 Elf Note Synchro, and then they bring back the Elf Note Power Patron, you Phydralis pop the Synchro, Malong bounces the Elf Note, they've already normal summoned, their turn is over. We have more Albaz and Fallen and the Virtuous cards in the deck. So we have Mirror Jade, Rindrum, Sprind, Dogma, Albion. I will show why each of those are in there in a moment, because I'll do a little combo playthrough. I just don't see a reason not to. We have Super Poly targets, things like Elf Note, that also into Elf Note because this uses Spellcaster monsters. That also, Chaos Hats are Spellcaster monsters. So if you remember, Chaos Hats was getting something like Forbidden Crown from the deck. You can then Super Poly your own crown to summon this, and then when you bounce a level 7 or higher monster to summon Magician of Black Chaos, it adds a spell from your graveyard to your hand, and you get the crown.
Oh my goodness.
Last, and certainly not least, the face of the deck, the poster child of everything, is the 3 Champions of Sword Soul. This is another level 8 synchro that you can make with the Fallen of the White Dragon into the Incredible Ecclesia when you already have access to your Griffo, so you don't need to go through the Red Dragon Archfiend stuff. This card searches for a spellcaster that's level 4 or 8 that has square stats, attack and defense that are equal. This card happens to have 2800 attack and 2800 defense while being a level 8 spellcaster. So the 3 Champions of Sword Soul can get Farah, Primordial Goddess, which is why I don't main 3 of it. I still side in the 3rd because I want to open it in Mind Shuffle like as often as possible, so I side in 1 of each.
Yeah.
I don't have the side deck for this deck
That's
put
fine.
together. But this thing also searches for Pharaonic Advent. Pharaonic Advent then tributes a monster to summon itself, and then gets any continuous trap in the game. We'll get to that later when I do the side deck of the other deck.
I've seen a lot going on with that card. I've actually been messing around with that with Cartesia as well in the Brandon Mitsu build, because you can grab that and you can dump off Dragonall. It is a really, really good card for Synchro Weights, and I think people need to look into it more.
Yeah. I'll do a very quick, I guess, combo. These cards are all things that are involved in your engine-based plays for the Rolad deck. Obviously, Griffo being the goal. We have Fallen of the White Dragon, sending... I put away the fusion monsters. Why did I put away the fusion monsters? Oh, right here. Sorry. Fallen of the White Dragon. And we send, in this case, the Dogma that devours... The dragon that devours the Dogma, not Albion. And that's important, and you'll see why later. We special summon Incredible Ecclesia from our deck. Now the question becomes, do we already have Griffo or not? If we don't, then this is a simple Synchro Summon of the Crimson King. If we do, then it's a Synchro Summon of the 3 Champions of Sword Soul, and we're going to add the Farah to our hand. From there, the next question is, do we already have something like FNV or not? Because from here, we have Griffo into Mind Shuffle. Activate Mind Shuffle, get Skull Archfiend of Chaos, discard Skull Archfiend of Chaos, dumps Light and Darkness Ritual for cost, adds Magician of Light and Darkness, and I could do 1.5 million things from here, but we'll add Rolad back to our hand, along with Skull Archfiend of Chaos, activate Light and Darkness Ritual, banishing Griffo to pay the entire ritual cost, because that's just written on that card for some reason, and summon our Magician, which adds back a spell from the graveyard to our hand. That's the normal way. If you have FNV already, then instead, when I activated Light and Darkness Ritual to add back Skull Archfiend of Chaos, Light and Darkness Ritual doesn't target. I can activate FNV, send a card, and pop Mind Shuffle, and then add back the Mind Shuffle and reveal Mind Shuffle with Farah now. That's one of the back doors, but in this case, we just have this. When you go to your... Oh, I've got Farah's in my hand. When you go to your end phase, Dragon that Devours the Dogma adds FNV from your deck to your hand instead of setting it, and you can play that FNV. So instead of 3 Champions of Sword Soul, you go Crimson King. I've put Farah away. This is when I don't have access to Griffo. I'm just trying to show all of the variations here. So I'll just rewind it and show the best possible version. We have Fallen of White Dragon, sending the Dragon that Devours the Dogma, then getting Incredible, and synchroing for Crimson King. Crimson King gets... Where did he go? Crimson King gets Soul Resonator. You normal summon Soul Resonator, and that adds from your deck to your hand Griffo. So discards, sets Mind Shuffle, activate Mind Shuffle, add Skull Archfiend of Chaos, discard it, dump Rolad, add Magician, and then return Rolad. This is on the field. Return Rolad and Skull Archfiend of Chaos. Activate Rolad, banish Griffo, summon this, and now when we enter the end phase, Dogma adds Fallen of the Virtuous. You activate it, and then dump Albion the normal way and destroy your own Soul Resonator, because while you control him, Soul Resonator says this can't be destroyed. Says this can't be destroyed either, but they can target this card. So Albion will then activate in the end phase and set a second copy of FNV. So you still have FNV on the field as another interrupt, and the Black Ecclesia to send for its cost. But when you have an opponent who tries to use something like Fallen in the Virtuous, target Magician of Black Chaos, you have to return it to your hand. And now they can Ghost Ogre Mind Shuffle, and you lose. But no, they don't. You can banish Soul Resonator and stop that, and then continue to play on. So that keeps your Mind Shuffle alive. It keeps it going. I'm supposed to have had a BLS in my hand that I add with Mind Shuffle in the draw phase, but the Magician of Black Chaos is there and protects it, adds the BLS, discards the Scholar Chain of Chaos. Like, it actually adds Griffo, and then the Scholar Chain of Chaos adds BLS. Like, you get to it. Like, you have just an unbelievable amount of consistency, and the way you can use FNV to put up a shield, the way you can use FNV to get to Mind Shuffle Farah, and then the Farah can be the discard from Mind Shuffle to steal an opponent's monster, and then be level 8 or higher. With all this said, this is not the definitive version of the deck, unfortunately. This is the most fun, it is the most solved, it is the most stable, it is the most consistent. It is, however, not the best variant. And from there, now I need to...
You say, now this isn't the definitive build. The actual version that we feel like has a better, higher power ceiling, or however you want to word it, is the azamina build, and we're going to showcase that right now.
That was a 20-ish minute preamble, all to say, I didn't play that deck at the NAWCQ this year.
What?
Because I found a way better way to make a stronger turn 1 end board and a better way to go second. I found an even stronger turn 1 end board and an even better way to play through the overpowered turn 2 end boards.
Okay, I'm listening. What's the new engine?
Well, we start obviously with 3 Griffo, 3 Black Chaos, 3 regular Rights, and the 2 Ritual monsters. But we did also trim down to only 1 Scholar Queen of Chaos and 1 Light and Darkness Ritual. I am still on the 2 Mind Shuffles, as always, like before, but we now have a new way to get through stuff. So just, I guess, real quick, because it's in the way and it's bothering me, 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Perulia, 3 Fulos. These I will put right here for a later explainer, just some more non-engine, and 3 Dominus Spark and 3 Dominus Impulse, because every monster in the deck is a dark except for the BLS, and the only thing he loses is the banish, and the rest of it is Souls, 3 Diabellstar, 3 Wanted, 2 Deception, and Hallowed Azamina. Diabellstar is also level 7 or higher. It can summon itself if it's sent to the graveyard during the opponent's turn. So similar to Farah, if it's in your opening hand with Mind Shuffle, it gets discarded, it comes back, it sets Wanted, it bounces, and it summons the BLS, or the Magician of Black Chaos, and sets up a turn 0 towers.
That's ridiculous.
Wanted gives the deck some nice extra card draw. So does Magician Souls, that can clean up things like the Light and Darkness Ritual. And Diabellstar can also get Deception of the Sinful Spoils to get you another Omni Negate. People are, for the most part, familiar with the Azamina package, but just in case you aren't, it has been a few years. Deception of the Sinful Spoils tributes to Sinful Spoils, or Hallowed Azamina tributes a Sinful Spoils spell to summon a fusion monster that's 6 stars or less. It's just weird. Deception tributes a monster from the hand or field to search for this. So Diabellstar gets Deception, Deception gets this sends Deception to summon Batgirl. Batgirl searches your deck for a Sinful Spoils spell card. So these are in the graveyard, theoretically, so is Diabellstar if I didn't tribute from my hand, and she is on the field and adds Wanted. Hallowed has another effect in the graveyard that says you can add it back to your hand by taking a fusion monster from your field or graveyard and putting it back in your extra deck. So you can link this off, put it back in the extra deck to add Hallowed, and then activate Hallowed again and chain Wanted. And Wanted then gets you another Diabellstar, and the Hallowed then summons Ilia Sylvia, who has an Omni Negate. So this is just a nice extra turn 1 end board insulation piece. Not that dissimilar to the Albaz thing, where it's more starters. However, the Albaz package bridged into Griffo. Griffo could not bridge into the Albaz package. Griffo can bridge into this package because of Magician Souls. The Magician of Dark Chaos, Black Chaos, and Diabellstar, no matter which half of the deck you start with, can banish themselves as a level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster to summon the Dark Magician of Destruction and add Magician Souls. Souls can then send Diabellstar or Black Chaos from your deck to the graveyard to get you to the other package. A starter card for both sides of the deck.
So it's a fairly easy bridge to get into, or is it a little bit more complicated?
I wouldn't say it's complicated, but it does start to freestyle a little bit. So you've banished your Magician of Dark Chaos. The Skull Archfiend of Chaos can shuffle back 3 cards that include one that names Rolad and revive itself.
Okay.
So that puts back the Dark Chaos into your deck so that you still have access to it. And this is on the field alongside this card. This can go into Relinquished Anima or your Griffo. Because this deck does not have a normal summon, we're no longer using the Soul Resonator. We have Griffo for Mind Shuffle for Skull. Skull dumps Rolad, gets a body. And then when Rolad adds back, it adds back Griffo and you normal summon it. That goes into a copy of Relinquished Anima. Then you play Rolad, summon Magician of Dark Chaos by banishing Griffo, banish it to turn into Demod, and Demod gets you this, and this dumps the Diabellstar to the graveyard. And now you have all of these bodies. So you have the ability to turn this into something like Cross Sheep pointing at a fusion monster, and then you can do something as mundane as reviving the Skull Archfiend of Chaos if you don't have a monster, to revive Souls. From there, Souls and Cross Sheep is Protect Code Talker, and Protect Code Talker and your body is Firewall Dragon. You now can revive Protect Code Talker because you have a Link 1 and a Link 2 in your graveyard to banish, and Skull Archfiend put this back in the deck. These are now co-linked, and Firewall Dragon can add your dumped card to your... And now you've got the other engine. It's Black Chaos or it's Diabellstar, gets you to the other half of the deck.
Okay. Now the question is, what is the end result? Because I see kind of the direction you're going. I think I know what's happening, but I'd love to see how you finish this combo off.
So you have also access to Firewall Dragon and Demod, turn into SP Little Knight, and then the Protect Code Talker that you revived and Skull Archfiend of Chaos goes into a Bow Aku. And a Bow Aku discards a card to revive a light by banishing herself temporarily to put Firewall Dragon right here, turning it back on, and then she comes back co-linked to it, and you have a Firewall double bounce. In addition to Rolad, in addition to Sylvia's Omni Negate, you just have a much stronger board that the Rolad deck makes. You also have more than enough spells for Celine to provide you with another free body. This went back in here. These are my Super Poly targets. And then Dark and Access Code Talker. These 3 are flex spots. You can play the Charmer Quartet. There's a couple other cute little ideas you can do. But the beauty of this deck is how powerful it sides while staying on engine. These 6 cards come out. When you're going second, you can take out your 2 extra Ragged Records of Rights, and you can take out the second Deception of the Sinful Spoils, and you can put in 3 Sphere Mode or 3 Super Poly, depending on the matchup. And you can also take out extra things like the BLS for these Drolls when they matter. But for the most part, you've got the Go First version of the deck, where you side out your 6-mil Charmies, and you side in Talent, Called by the Grave, Azamina Debtors, and Chaos Magical Hats. We already talked about Chaos Magical Hats, and it's by this point very known how you play into hand traps. Debtors also is how you beat Foolos, because we now are accessing our extra deck so much. When you summon Diabellstar and you set Deception, they have to Foolos you there, or Diabellstar turns into Demod. When you use Deception, instead of adding Hallowed, you add Debtors and just set Debtors. And then it still just turns into Ilia Sylvia on their turn without giving them any draws. We did, however, side out 6, Pharaonic Advent, and either Discord or Anti-Spell Fragment. We did, however, side out 6 cards, and these are only 4. The other 2 are Pharaonic Advent and either Discord or Anti-Spell Fragrance. Pharaonic Advent is another level 6 or higher spellcaster for Magician Souls to dump from the deck, and a level 7 or higher spellcaster to bounce with Mind Shuffle. This card, when it's added to the hand, same way the Diabellstar does, can tribute a monster to special summon itself, and then tribute the Skull Archfiend of Chaos to search for a continuous trap. Anti-Spell Fragrance for everybody else, and Discord, which says neither player can synchro summon against Cool Tune and Elf Note.
Oh my goodness, that's ridiculous. So at that point, you turn 1, shut down their entire board, and searchable because of Pharaonic. That's just wild.
Yes, and because both halves of the deck get to Magician Souls, both halves of the deck get to Anti-Spell Fragrance.
Insane.
That's basically it.
Any shout-outs?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, shout-outs to the guys in the org. They've been with me for 13 years at this point. The Yugipedia admins who have seen me through everything. All good. Michael and Trash for filming the video and domain format and everything that they do. Definitely shout out to domain format. It's fun, it's cool, it's a new way to play. Got to get that going on the sim org now that that's out, because it will be by the time the video is. I want to also shout out Lucas Sacco, Julian Kahn, Ditchia, Anthony Shu, everyone that's been playtesting with us together to put together the Azamina version of the Rolad deck. I want to shout out Rum for letting me stay with him and picking me up at the airport and playtesting with me ever since Pure Mitsu format. My dad for making sure I was able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! For so long and playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With me for 20 years was a really big deal. Without him, I probably would have stopped playing in high school or something. Konami for keeping this game going as long as they have. Kevin Tewart for being the best card business employee of all time. And Jerome McHale for being the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Player of all time and teaching me everything I've ever learned. Yeah, just everybody. At 10 million people for reading my site every month. Shout out to them. They pay my mortgage.
It sounds like you have a really tight circle. That's one thing I always say is that the people around you make you better.
Yes, absolutely.
With that, though, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Trash out.